Imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a cliff, the wind howling in your ears, the ground beneath you trembling. Your heart races, your palms sweat, and the world feels like it's closing in. You're not alone in this moment. Every day, we carry invisible burdensome expectations, fears, the relentless pressure to be someone, to achieve something, to prove our worth in a world that never stops demanding. The noise is deafening. The chatter of social media, the endless to-do lists, the voices telling you who you should be. You feel like a marionette, strings pulled by forces you can't name, dancing to a tune you didn't choose. This is the modern condition, a silent scream in a crowded room. We're angry at ourselves, at others, at the systems that trap us. We're anxious, haunted by the fear of failure, of being left behind. We're exhausted, chasing a finish line that keeps moving. And yet deep down, there's a whisper, a faint call to something more, something authentic, something powerful. What if the key to breaking free, to reclaiming your life, lies not in louder shouts or grand gestures, but in a silent trick, a subtle shift in perspective that unlocks a wellspring of power within you? This is the story of that trick, a secret hidden in the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche, illuminated by the wisdom of Carl Jung, and brought to life through the timeless art of storytelling. It's a journey from chaos to clarity, from powerlessness to potency, from the cliff's edge to solid ground. Let's step into the narrative, where the ordinary becomes extraordinary, and the silent becomes thunderous. Our story begins with a young woman named Elena, a graphic designer in her late 20s, living in a bustling city. Elena is talented, ambitious, and perpetually overwhelmed. Her days are a blur of deadlines, client demands, and the constant pressure to hustle. Her social media feed is a gallery of curated perfection, colleagues landing dream jobs, friends traveling to exotic destinations, influencers preaching productivity hacks. Elena feels like she's running a race she didn't sign up for, and she's losing. One evening, after a particularly grueling day, Elena sits alone in her apartment, staring at her laptop screen. An email from her boss glows in the dark. "We need the project by tomorrow. No excuses." Her phone buzzes with notifications, likes, comments, a friend's engagement announcement. She feels a knot in her chest, a mix of anger and despair. Why can't I keep up? Why does everyone else seem to have it together? She slams her laptop shut and buries her face in her hands. In that moment, she feels like she's staring into an abyss, and it's staring back. This is where Nietzsche enters the stage, not as a distant philosopher, but as a guide through the darkness. In his seminal work, Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche writes, "When you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you." Elena's abyss is her fear of inadequacy, her sense of being swallowed by a world that demands conformity and perfection. But Nietzsche doesn't leave us in despair. He offers a radical proposition. To find power, we must not flee the abyss, but embrace it. This is the silent trick, the willingness to confront the chaos within and transform it into strength. Nietzsche's philosophy is not about external dominance or brute force. His concept of power, or will to power, is an inner force, a drive to create, to overcome, to become who you are meant to be. It's the spark that fuels artists, rebels, and visionaries. But in a world obsessed with external validation, likes, promotions, applause, this inner power is often silenced. We become slaves to what Nietzsche calls the herd mentality, the collective voice that tells us to fit in, to follow the script, to suppress our individuality for the sake of safety. Elena, like so many of us, is caught in this trap. She's living for others, for her boss's approval, for her followers' admiration, for the image of success she thinks she's supposed to embody. But Nietzsche would ask her, who are you when the world isn't watching? What do you create when no one is applauding? The silent trick lies in answering these questions, not with words, but with action, by daring to live authentically, even when it feels terrifying. To deepen our understanding, Let's turn to Carl Jung, whose psychological insights complement Nietzsche's philosophy. Jung believed that within each of us lies a shadow, the parts of ourselves we repress, deny, or fear. For Elena, her shadow is her anger, her self-doubt, her longing to break free from the expectations that bind her. The shadow is not an enemy. It's a reservoir of untapped potential. But to access it, we must integrate it, not reject it. Jung's concept of individuation, the process of becoming one's true self, aligns with Nietzsche's call to embrace the will to power. Individuation requires us to face our shadow, to dialogue with it, to understand its whispers. For Elena, this means acknowledging her resentment toward her job, her envy of others' seemingly perfect lives, and her fear that she's not enough. These are not weaknesses. They are signposts pointing toward her true desires. Let's return to Elena's story. After her moment of despair, she takes a walk through the city, the neon lights blurring into a kaleidoscope of color. She finds herself in a quiet park, where an old street musician is playing a haunting melody on a violin. The music stirs something in her, a memory of her childhood, when she used to draw for hours, lost in her imagination. Back then, she didn't care about deadlines or likes. She created for the sheer joy of it. The memory feels like a lifeline, a clue to the power she's lost. Inspired, Elena begins to experiment. She starts sketching again, not for clients, but for herself. At first, her drawings are chaotic, dark, jagged lines that mirror her inner turmoil. But as she persists, something shifts. The lines become fluid, vibrant, alive. She's not just drawing. She's confronting her shadow, giving voice to the parts of herself she's kept hidden. This is the silent trick in action. By creating from her authentic self, Elena is tapping into her will to power, reclaiming her agency in a world that seeks to define her. Nietzsche's philosophy offers another profound tool for unlocking power: the concept of eternal recurrence. Imagine that you must live your life over and over again. Every moment, every choice, every pain, and every joy for eternity. Would you embrace it, or would you despair? Nietzsche poses this as a challenge to live in such a way that you would say yes to every moment, to create a life worthy of eternal repetition. For Elena, eternal recurrence is a wake-up call. She asks herself, if I had to relive this day, this job, this stress, this disconnection forever, would I be content? The answer is a resounding no. But the question also sparks hope. It reminds her that she has the power to change her life, not through grand gestures, but through small, intentional choices. She begins to set boundaries at work, saying no to unreasonable demands. She carves out time for her art, sharing her sketches online, not for validation, but for the joy of expression. She reconnects with friends, not to compare, but to share authentic moments. This is where the silent trick reveals its full potency. Power doesn't come from shouting louder or climbing higher. It comes from aligning your life with your deepest values, from living as if every moment matters. It's silent because it's internal, invisible to the world, yet it radiates outward, transforming how you move through life. To enrich our narrative, let's introduce another archetype, the trickster, a figure that appears in myths and stories across cultures. The trickster is a boundary crosser, a disruptor who challenges conventions and reveals hidden truths. In Nietzsche's philosophy, the trickster aligns with the Übermensch, the ideal human who creates their own values and lives beyond the constraints of the herd. The trickster doesn't conform. They play, they subvert, they create. Elena's trickster emerges as she begins to question the rules she's been following. Why does she need to work 80-hour weeks to prove her worth? Why does she measure her value by likes and followers? She starts to play with these conventions, bending them to suit her needs. She pitches a passion project to her boss, a bold, unconventional design that reflects her true style. To her surprise, it's a hit. She posts raw, unpolished sketches online, and instead of losing followers, she gains a community that resonates with her authenticity. The trickster's wisdom is this: power lies in playfulness, in refusing to take the world's demands too seriously. By embracing her inner trickster, Elena disrupts the narrative of scarcity and competition, creating a new story of abundance and creativity. So, what is the silent trick that gives you power? It's the art of living authentically, of aligning your actions with your inner truth, even when the world pulls you in 1,000 directions. It's the courage to face your shadow, to embrace your abyss, to say yes to your life, as it is and as it could be. Here are 3 practical steps to embody this trick in your daily life. 1. Pause and reflect. Take a moment each day to check in with yourself. Ask, am I living for me or for someone else's expectations? Journaling can help you uncover your true desires and fears. Like Elena, use this pause to reconnect with what brings you joy. 2. Create without judgment. Engage in a creative act: writing, drawing, cooking, anything that feels authentic without worrying about the outcome. This is your dialogue with your shadow, a way to tap into your will to power. Start small, but be consistent. 3. Set boundaries. Practice saying no to demands that drain you. Protect your time and energy for what aligns with your values. This isn't selfish. It's an act of self-respect that radiates power.